Hey everyone, happy Friday. Today I'm going to be talking about vibe coding in mini apps. We all know that vibe coding is very hot right now, but publishing onto the App Store is very hard. MiniKit makes it easy for you to publish the vibe coding app that you made on V0 and to publish that on iOS and Android without all the hassles of publishing, getting approval, listing into the App Store. MiniKit handles all that and gives you instant distribution onto mobile phones on both iOS and Android. And so what we're going to be covering today is taking a V0 app, publishing it using MiniKit. That way we can try it directly on our mobile phones. I have an Android, so I'll be testing on Android, but it'll work just as fine on iOS. The overall roadmap for what we're going to be building. Step one, I'm going to give some definitions on the technology we're going to be working with, including vibe coding, V0, mini apps, and MiniKit. Then we'll go into a V0 app that I found on the community page that is selling hoodies and creating a merchandise store. A lot of musicians sell merch as a way to create a sustainable form of income. And so this is mostly for musicians and other artists who are selling their work and want to publish that directly on iOS and Android so that they can have more distribution for people who can buy their merchandise. After we look at the V0 app, we'll clone it locally, get it connected to GitHub, get it connected to Vercel for deployment. Then we'll go into the mini app. We'll take the V0 vibe coded app, and then we'll transform that into a mini app where we'll publish it using Farcaster on base. And then finally, we'll get into a conclusion where we'll wrap up, and all of this we should be covering within 60 minutes. So before I go live, let me make sure that I share the link to this with the base team so that they can amplify it if they want more people to see how to combine V0 with mini apps. So we're live on YouTube. We're also live on Twitter, and we're live on LinkedIn, I believe. Okay, and so now that I've shared that, let's dive into definitions. First, what is vibe coding? Vibe coding for me is amplifying your coding with LLMs. Whether you are someone that's a traditional coder like me and you're using LLMs in the form of Cursor to write out your prompts and to plan your work and implement it, or if you're like most of the musicians I work with and you have no experience coding whatsoever, and the only thing that you're doing is vibe coding your ideas into applications. And so vibe coding is being able to code without actually having to write any code. You just speak in English or Spanish or whatever your language is, and then the code shows up on its own. V0 is a platform where you can vibe code very easily. It was built by the Vercel team, which is the same team that most devs are already using to host their apps. And this makes it very easy to go from idea, communicate your idea in human readable English, and then publish your app where you can get a link to share it with your friends, all for free. They also have this awesome community section where you can come in and you can find apps that people have already built, whether you want games like 2048 or Flappy Bird or Tetris, or if you're looking for websites like a financial dashboard or a portfolio for your agency. They've got a whole lot of tools, and I've started actually publishing my own vibe coded apps in here. And if you search music, you'll see the first app that I published, which is a simple music player that allows you to, I'll quickly demo this before going further. This is something I vibe coded last night. I just wanted a simple music player. And so all you have to do is you click upload, and then it'll have you select whatever song you want to listen to. Then you click play. And now you might not be able to hear it, but it is actively playing the music that I just selected. And so the goal was to just make a super simple music app, because when I came into V0 and I started looking in their community section for music apps, I didn't see many options here. And so my goal will start to be to fill this up with more music options so that when vibe coders or musicians want to come and start with music templates, they'll have options like music players, like shops to be able to distribute their work, etc. All of that being said, the app that we're going to be doing is a hoodie store. And so if we go back to community and we look up hoodie store, it was a very popular app that I found. It's right here. It's got 4.2 thousand forks. And so the first thing that we'll do is we'll click open in V0. Oh yeah, I jumped right into implementation. So we've talked about what is vibe coding. We've talked about what is V0. Going into the other 2 points, what is a mini app? A mini app is an application that you've built that is distributed inside of other apps like Farcaster, Base, World App, and there's many others that are super apps that then have apps inside. Telegram is another example of an app that allows you to build apps and publish them inside as mini apps. And so what that allows us to do is we don't have to focus on the approval process of iOS and Android. Publishing on those stores is very challenging. You have to write particular languages like Kotlin or Java for the Android side, and on iOS they have Swift, or you're going to use a specialized language like React Native. All of those are heavy. It takes a lot to get up and running, and it's not nearly as simple as JavaScript, which is what the majority of the world knows how to do, and it's the most accessible programming language to anybody. A mini app is a way for you to publish a JavaScript app and then to release it inside of these other apps that went through the hard process of publishing on iOS and Android. That way you get the distribution on iOS and Android without having to write the complex code, jump through the hoops of the platform, and get approval from the publishers. MiniKit is Base's toolkit that allows you to use one framework to publish on multiple platforms. And so instead of you having to go to Farcaster and say, how do I build a mini app? And then going to Base and saying, how can I build a mini app? You can just come into the MiniKit docs, wrap your JavaScript application once, and then you get distribution on all of those major applications, which is more points of contact and more points of discoverability for your application. So now that we've talked about definitions of what is vibe coding, what is V0, what is a mini app, and what is MiniKit, let's dive into the first part of this, which is going to be cloning a V0 application. This section is going to take approximately 10 minutes. That's how much I planned for it. So let's see if we can get this done in 10 minutes. In the V0 section, the 3 steps we're going to try to do is we're going to try to clone this locally. We're going to set it up with GitHub, and we're also going to set it up with Vercel. And so should just be one click to connect to GitHub. I just click a button like that, and then I say V0 hoodie store. I might already have this repo, so it might throw an error from when I was doing planning earlier today. Or it could also let me publish it. It looks like we were able to connect to GitHub, and if I click the view button, here is that app. So we've got it on GitHub. Let's also connect it to Vercel by going directly into Vercel. Vercel is the same team that wrote V0, and Vercel is a way for me to connect the GitHub repo into an automatic deployment that will host the application for free and give you a URL where you can go to share the application that you published with all of your friends. Once you're on the Vercel dashboard, click Add New, and then select Project. We should auto-populate our GitHub repositories if you've already connected your GitHub account. And so I can just click the Import button on this new app, and then I can just click Deploy. And that should be all I need to do in order to get this app published. While I'm waiting for this to deploy, I'm going to clone this locally by going to the GitHub repo that was set up automatically, click the Copy to Clipboard button, and now I'll open up a terminal, and I'm going to change directory into where I like to keep my projects, which is in the base folder. And now I'll get clone my project so that I have it locally. We're cloning it locally so that we can make it a mini app. I have found so far that making mini apps inside of V0 is not straightforward, as there are a lot of environment variables and it's a very new framework. Vibe coding often works with more established frameworks and libraries. So we can change directory into that, and now let's open it up inside of whatever your library of choice is, whatever your IDE is. If you're using VS Code, if you're using Cursor, I use Cursor, but if you're using Windsurf or something else, any IDE will do. What's surprising here is we only have a README. And so while I was expecting this to include everything, it looks like it only includes a README. And so the first thing we're going to want to do now is add our code, which we can do by clicking the download code button and then this little copy button. But what I actually think we're going to want, well, let's see if that works. Let's just paste this command and see if it's going to set up our project and give us the file, or if we're going to have to try a different approach. So it's trying to set up a brand new app, which is not what I want. I'll run npm init. Run npm init first. That way it's going to set up our package.json. And then we should be able to run this command again. And instead of it trying to create a brand new project, it's going to try to update our existing project. And we got an error. Could not detect a framework. So let me try going into shadcn. And you know, I'm actually thinking this is not the right way that I want to go about this. I was expecting GitHub clicking that to automatically get the project, but it did not. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back to my own set of repositories, and then I'm just going to create a new repository in this method, and I'm going to start a slightly different way. Going to make this v0 hood.b store. I'll make it shop because we don't already have a shop. And this is v0 plus MiniKit. Make it a public repository and create this. So let's clone this locally. Actually, I don't even need to clone it locally. What I'll do is I'll cd ... and then I'll say npx create next app. I'm going to start with the Next app because Next was built by the Vercel team, which is the same team that built v0. And so they built a lot of architecture that allows us to get up and running quickly with an app, as long as we know the steps to do them in. And I'm going to use the default options for ESLint, Tailwind CSS, SRC directory, app router, TurboPack. I don't want to customize the default alias. And we should now have a Next.js project. Once we have our Next.js project, I'll need to set up shadcn, which is what is used in v0 to clone. You can see when we click the download code button, it's using npx shadcn. And so we will actually go to shadcn, to their install guide, and see how shadcn is doing the setup. We're using a Next.js project, so we just click Next.js, and then it should just be one line to get started. I just click this init. And as soon as we have finished with our initial installation, we will have the option to set up our shadcn project. So we found our v0 prototype that we want to deploy. We've set up a Git repository, which is empty. We're now creating a new project locally using npx create next app. And now that that's finished, we'll change directory inside of it and then initialize the shadcn project. Shadcn, again, is just open UI components for us to be able to use. And this is just going to lay the foundation for me to be able to import my v0 vibe code app. Now that we finally have a project set up with Next.js and shadcn, we can paste in this command and it should overwrite what we already have and allow us to see this shop on our own local machine, as well as when we deploy it. It's saying that some of these files already exist. I want it to overwrite anything. So I'm going to say yes to all of this. I want it to overwrite it all. And now let's push these changes up to GitHub by saying get status. And we should see that we don't have any sort of, well, let's try get remote -v. This is going to tell us where this GitHub is located outside of our computer. And we can see it's actually not located anywhere. In order to connect it, we will copy the Git link. And then going back into our terminal, we'll say git add remote I think it's get remote add origin, and then paste our URL. Get status to show us what's changed. I want to make sure that there's nothing in here I don't want to push. Everything looks good. The only thing I would change is package lock change to PNPM lock, but for now we'll stick with NPM because it's more universally acceptable. Get add dot to add everything. Get commit -m initial commit. And now we can get push origin main, and that should overwrite what we see here on GitHub with the actual code from v0. We've now got an app, so let's publish this by going to Vercel, add new, project, and now we'll import the hoodie shop. Click deploy. And so far we're 16 minutes in. We're 1 minute behind on where I want to be, but if this deployment works, we will be ready to move into the next step, which is going to be wrapping this v0 with mini apps using MiniKit. So we're deploying right now. It's going to install the dependencies, it'll build the app, and then it'll publish the app. And once it's live, we'll have a link where we can visit it, and we can also share it with our friends. That's step one. Get the app deployed so that you can share it with your friends, so that other people can buy hoodies from the merch shop, and you can start to earn that income that you need as an artist. Once we have that distribution on the web, it's never reassigned, use const. Okay, so it looks like there's some errors right out of the box in this on splash screen. So let's check it out and fix those by opening up our project with cursor.slash. And once our project is open, let's find this file of splash screen. I'll copy that and then do Command-Shift-O, backspace to delete the app, and then paste, which will allow us to open up this file. It should auto-highlight wherever that error is. And if I don't see it, which right now I'm not seeing it highlighting that red error, error interval is never reassigned. Let's see where interval is on line 26. So if we come back and check out line 26, here it is. Interval should be const progress interval. And actually, I don't want to change it, the name, so I'm just going to set the assignment to here as const. And then I'll delete the duplicate definition, and that should have fixed the error. I'll add this file change and say let to const to fix build error. And for now, we're going to push directly to main. Normally, in my apps, I don't push directly to main, but for now, because our goal is a quick start, I'm going to just do the fastest steps that get us to publish. Let's go to project, and it should have automatically kicked off a new deployment when I made that push. Here's the build, happened automatically. Last one took 31 seconds before it failed. Let's see if we can get the next one to get longer than 35 seconds. And if we can, we should be in the clear. It's doing all of its linting. It's collecting the page data. It's looking positive, collecting the build traces. And now it's deploying. So I think we're going to be all good now. So far, we've talked definitions. We have just deployed our v0 app. And now we're going to be moving into the MiniKit. Oy, this doesn't look right. Looks like some of our styling was lost in our translation from v0 into actually deploying the code. That can happen. And so the question I have is, do we try to fix some of this, or do we leave it as is? Tailwind config, is this the same? Let's go to code, check out Tailwind config, copy. They've got dark mode as a class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this was used, actually. So now I'm curious of why we're not seeing the correct styles. Public, does it include logo.svg? It does include logo.svg. Does our utils file match? I'm checking to see if all of the files match. Splash screen is using an image. Let's check out splash screen. We've got the characters. Is there a special global.css file? Let's go into our global.css. Do we have that? Global.css is right here. Body, custom cursor, keyframes click. Looks like it's got everything that's needed. Is our layout the same? So far it's seeming like everything is the same, but for some reason in our deployed version, it does not have the same look. It's also missing the background image, which is just one thing. Let's check out the page. Auto slider banner images. What's this image? Yeah, that's the image that we want. Where's images being used? Images.map. Is auto slider banner being used? Yeah, it is. We already saw it. We saw it on page. I'm confused as to why these styles are not loading correctly, but let's keep moving forward with the app because this was not something I vibe coded, and we're now getting a little bit too deep down this rabbit hole of trying to debug a vibe coded app. So far we've talked definitions. What is vibe coding? What is V0? What is a mini app? What is MiniKit? We've also just finished cloning a V0 app locally and deploying it so that we have a link, v0hoodieshop.vercel.app, that we can share with our friends so that other people can visit our shop and buy our hoodies. Now we're going to get into the mini app setup. And to do that, I've got a set of docs that I've published at docs-minikit.vercel.app. And I have added in a section for existing apps, which was missing from the official base documentations. First thing we're going to do is install our packages with npm install Coinbase on ChainKit and VM latest. Then we need a provider for our MiniKit provider. And so actually, let me quickly show what we're going to be doing in this next step. So right now I say, cool, I've got my V0 app, I've got my hoodie shop. Let me share this on social media so that I can get more distribution and more eyes on my website. And so I'll go to Workcast, which is a social media feed that's built on chain. And let's share the link to my site there so that my friends can go and visit my site and buy the hoodies that I'm publishing. Cast, paste this, and now when we cast it, you'll notice that it's a link that links out to an external tab instead of opening up directly inside of the app. Here, if I click on the link, it opens up a brand new tab, which gets me out of my social feed. What we want to do is build this as a mini app so that way if someone sees what it is I'm building, like here, they click launch the app and then the app stays right there, but they can continue to scroll in their social feed, which is a drastically different experience than if I click this and it opens up a new tab and it takes me out of my social feed. We want to make it so that the social feed can stay there and our apps can still be used right alongside with the social feed. And that's what MiniKit's going to allow us to do. It's going to make it so that by the end of this section of the video, when I share that same link on social media platforms, it'll have the option for the mini app to get open instead of a link out to an external page. The first thing we need is a provider. So we'll copy MiniKit provider, the code from the docs, and then I'll make a new folder. And I'm going to call it providers. And inside of here, I'll make a new file called minikitprovider.tsx. Paste the code that I've copied, and let's move on to the next step of use MiniKit. Now we need to modify page.tsx, and we're going to add in the hooks that we got for notifying the social media feed that the app is ready. We do that by going into our page component. And from here, I can just add this in near the top. We're going to be missing our MiniKit import, so we need to make sure that we import MiniKit from OnChainKit. And now because we are now using hooks, we need to label this as a use client component to avoid errors that are going to happen. After that, we can now start to set up our environment variables. I'm going to push these changes right now just to make sure that what we've currently built is not going to break anything. Provider and set frame ready for mini apps. Let's commit it and publish this. And what happens is every single time I push changes, it's going to automatically trigger a new build here inside of Vercel. And that's going to allow me to do an iteration cycle of I make a change, I push it, does the deploy work? Yep, let's keep moving forward. If the deploy doesn't work, let's fix that deployment. We want to have these iteration cycles as small as possible, so that way we don't go too far without catching that an error like this is going to happen. And this error is probably mentioning that. So it's saying here that we're actually missing OnChainKit and MiniKit. So let me see what I changed inside of package. There it is. We should have it, but I think I just didn't push this. Added missing packages. Commit this. Sync these changes. And this should fix this error. It might introduce a new error, but we're taking it error at a time, small iterations. And while we're waiting, I'm going to talk about this next step, which in my opinion is one of the larger steps, the env file that we're going to need to generate. I'm going to copy all these variables directly from the docs, and then I'm going to make a new file called .env, and I'll paste all my variables right in here. We need to get some of these variables. The next public CDP client API key we can get by clicking the link in the docs, and it's going to take us over to CDP, the Coinbase developer platform. This is where you go to set up API keys, manage your paymaster, set up wallets, and anything that you need to do. I've already created a key earlier. I'm going to create a new one, and I'm just going to call it key 2. I'll create the key, and the only thing I need from here is the API key ID. I'll copy that, and then I'll paste that in the first line. The rest of these, for now, I'm going to set to random images for the icon URL. Let me find example photos. And we should see something like a lorem pixum. This is going to give us filler images that we can use to fill into our app without spending time actually focusing on images. So for the icon URL, I'll put that. For the image URL, I'll put that. Same for the splash image. Background color we can keep. Public version we can keep. The URL we'll want to change to our deployed app name. And we can get that by going back to our deployed app, copy this URL, and that is going to go into the next public URL field. We've now set up all the environment variables we need to manually set. We've got CDP API key, OnChainKit project name, icon URL, public URL, version, image, splash image, and background color. You'll notice we're still missing these env variables for Farcaster. And if you go back to the docs, you'll see that we're going to get those by running this command, npx create onchain manifest. This is part of the MiniKit toolkit, and it allows us to just run one command. And then it will open up a page where we can generate all that info without us needing to figure out how to do it in code. First thing we do is connect our wallet. My wallet is most likely signed out, so I'm going to start signing back in. And let me make sure that I've got Coinbase wallet open as well. That's my wallet, but you can use any wallet you want. gonna have me log in. It's not having me log in for now. My domain, I will copy again from, where's that page? Here it is. Paste our domain, and now we can sign. Opens up a transaction. It's actually just a signature. There's no gas fees associated. We sign the message. Now it's asking me for my password. I did not have the correct thing copied to my clipboard. So one thing I dislike about the Coinbase wallet is that it doesn't tell me I need to log in early on. It's like after I've already copied other things to my clipboard and I thought the transaction would be ready. Now it's asking me for my password. And now it's generated this info, and this page will automatically close in a couple seconds. It usually auto closes, but it looks like this time it's not going to auto close. And we should now see we've got new environment variables added. Next public was updated, and all of our Farcaster environment variables were updated. At this point, let's see if our deployment was successful. It's still failing. Why is it failing? Cannot find name use effect on our page. So it looks like I forgot to update page with an import of use effect. Now that I've added that import, we should be good. I add use effect import. Before I push these changes, I want to add in these environment variables into my Vercel environment. So I'm just going to copy all my environment variables from .env, click on the name of my project in Vercel, and go to settings. Once I'm in settings, on the left side, there's an environment variables tab. And if I click on that, I can paste all my environment variables, and Vercel automatically formats it. Then I can click save. And now we've got all of our environment variables inside of Vercel. Let's push our changes, and let's see if we get a successful build now that we've added in the missing import for use React, and we've added in our environment variables. One of my kitties is scratching at the door, so I'm going to see if this is deploying, and if it is, I'm going to let my kitty in so that she is not sitting outside in the heat. Cool, we're building. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. We're 39 seconds into the build. Feeling optimistic, but we want to verify that it's actually going to work. Again, vibe coding is very hot. Publishing your vibe coded apps onto app stores is hard. MiniKit makes it easy to distribute on both iOS and Android, whatever the app is that you're vibe coding. We failed again, no. Error occurred pre-rendering, use MiniKit must be used within a MiniKit provider. So it seems what I have done is I skipped a step in my own docs. In use MiniKit provider, we created the provider, but then we did not update our layout to include that provider. And that's what's throwing the error that I just saw. So all that we need to do is come into here, and then we'll wrap with MiniKit provider. And now I can take the closing tag and put it on the outside of my body. Make sure that you import it. And now I'll come back here and say updated layout with MiniKit provider to fix build errors. Make sure that I add the file, commit it, sync the changes, and now we're triggering another deploy. This time adding in the step that I accidentally skipped of updating layout with the provider, which is essential before you try to use MiniKit, because this hook can only be used inside of the provider. A deploy should automatically have been triggered. Refresh because that data seems stale. And once the page re-renders, we see a new deployment that is in process. And it's 33 seconds in. Our typical builds take about a minute. So let's keep this open. And while we're watching, why do I have two of these open? I only need one. While it's open, let's check out where we're going to be going next inside of our instructions. We've installed our dependencies. We added the MiniKit provider. We have added our hook to use MiniKit. We've updated our environment variables. Next step should be adding the route, generate metadata, and then go into publishing. We should be close to the moment of truth. Are we going to get a successful deployment, or is it going to fail like it has in the past couple of attempts? It's deploying the outputs, which makes me think we are going to have a successful deploy this time. We're ready. Let's check out our site. Site should not look any different. The only thing that we're doing at this point is wrapping our site so that it can be a mini app. We've got it live with our changes, so we can go back to our docs. And now we can go on to the generating of the well-known Farcaster. We need to create a new file at app/wellknown/farcaster.json/route. Inside of app, I'll make a new folder called well-known. Inside of well-known, I'm going to copy farcaster.json, and we will make a new folder inside of well-known called farcaster.json. And inside of farcaster.json, we'll make a new file called route.ts. Paste the contents. That's the only thing we need to do. And then I'm going to make a new commit saying well-known JSON route. This is going to pull all of those environment variables that we have set in the previous steps. And it's going to use that to generate the manifest document that all of the apps use to register and verify that your mini app is a valid mini app, to link that mini app to the account that's associated so that it knows who's responsible for this app, and also to give it all the info it needs during the loading process to display something while your app is loading inside of their app. Let's go into the generate metadata step. This is going to go inside of our layout file. I'm just going to copy all of this, go into layout, and this is going to overwrite our existing metadata. This metadata, I'll keep it that way I can use their names. Title is our title. Description is going to be their description. But everything else I'm going to keep the same: version, image URL, button, etc. Save those changes. Make sure we've got metadata imported. We already do. Delete this other export of the metadata because those are going to be conflicting. We only want one source generating the SEO metadata for a page. Click the plus on layout. This is for generating of metadata. And now we push those changes. After that, we should now be ready to go into the Farcaster publishing stage. And so this is going to be the second to last step in our app building today. Let's verify that this publish has gone correctly using Vercel. It looks like I'm getting some more errors, or I just am looking at an outdated version of the site. I have a feeling I'm looking at an outdated version of this page. It looks like we're getting successful publishing, and we're waiting on this last build. And as long as this last build is successful, we're going to try to send this out as a mini app. The steps that we have remaining are to preview this mini app to verify that it is opening up as a mini app. And if it does, we'll then publish the mini app on the mini app store. Let's take this link from a successful deployment and let's try the same thing we did before. Let's try to share it on Warpcast. Let's open up Warpcast, and inside of the Warpcast app, let's share the link to the app that we just copied. Just take that Next.js project, go over to Warpcast, share the link. MiniKit integration with Merch Shop attempt number 1, we can see that now we are getting a button to launch my MiniKit app. Let's post this, view it, and let's compare the difference. If we go to my profile, the first time we shared this app, we got a weird embed. It was very obvious that this was going to link us out. Now, if you click Launch My Mini App, our shop is now going to load on the right side of Warpcast, and it allows us to stay inside of the Farcaster feed while being able to use the app that we just published. And so this is confirmation. We just went from a V0 design, we wrapped it with MiniKit, and now we have a mini app in less than an hour that we've already verified works as a mini app right inside of the Farcaster feed. Knowing this, let's register it so that way it can get featured and be an official mini app. We do that by heading over to the verification docs, which I should have here. There's a Warpcast Mini Apps Developer Portal. You go to that link at warpcast.com/tilde/developers/mini-apps. And on this page, you'll copy the link of your app, just like we've been doing. We go back to that manifest page. And on here, this is where we go to register the mini app that we've just built with Farcaster. Paste in the link, and now it's going to go and index that and see if this app is ready. It's refetching the data, and it says it's associated with a different account. Manifest cache has been refreshed. And so what I want to do is transfer the ownership. It says it's associated with Sweetman, one of my other accounts. I want to transfer it into my account. And in order to do that, I need to do some phone stuff. And in order to share with you the phone stuff, I'm going to do a contain, which is going to pop me up right beside. First thing I do is scan the QR code, and that's going to open up Farcaster on my phone. Farcaster. Now it's showing me the account association. It's showing me the same info for the domain, my username, and then the new manifest info. And now I'll just sign it as sweetman.eth. And that should be all I need to do on my mobile phone before it kicks me back on the web page and allows me to finish publishing my mini app. Now we need to update the account association property of our well-known Farcaster. We do that by going back into our Vercel deployment, click on the project name, and we're going back to our environment variables. Click on the settings tab, then we go into the environment variables on the left, and now we're going to modify the Farcaster header, payload, and signature. Let's start with signature, click the 3 dots, and then click edit. And then we can take the signature from the info that the Farcaster team gives us. Paste the new signature and click save. And we'll do the same thing for header. Copy the new header value, go back to our environment variables. We edit the header, paste our new header, and click save. And then finally, we've got payload, copy the payload, go back to our environment variables, click the 3 dots, click edit, and paste our new payload. Save that, and this should be our final deployment of this video. Go back to your deployments tab, click the 3 dots, create deployment, click on the main branch, and then create deployment. This is going to create a brand new deployment with the new environment variables that we've just set. And once this build finishes, we'll be able to come back into our Farcaster app publishing tab, and then we'll just click re-verify. And that's going to verify that these new environment variables have been added into our project, at which point we should be able to submit the ownership change and then have our mini app live on Base and on Farcaster, working on Android phones and iOS phones alike. And we were able to do all of that, from have an idea, build out our shop where we sell our merch and our hoodies, and then publish it as a mini app, all in less than 1 hour. We're almost at 45 minutes for the total length of this video. So the goal of this is to be accessible. Again, vibe coding is hot. Most of you watching this are probably vibe coding. Most of you are probably already using V0. And if you're not, you've now seen how easy it is to create a new app using V0. App Store publishing is hard. Usually it's very challenging to publish your apps on an app store. And so what we are doing is using MiniKit to allow us to publish on iOS and Android with a simple verification process. We've just verified that the associated account matches, and now we can submit the ownership change. We've transferred the ownership. And so I'm wondering if this page is going to reset automatically or not. I'll take a drink of some tea. Take a deep breath because everything gets slower when you stream. Let's try refreshing this page by just clicking refetch here. Told us we do not have a manifest set up, which is not true. So let me try going back to this page and doing like a hard refresh on it, because it seems that this info is out of date. Let me take my app URL and come back over to the manifest verifier tool, paste my URL in, and now we can see this app is associated with my account. It's already associated with my account. It's already live. And so we have now published our mini app onto Farcaster. You can now see it as a mini app on my profile. You can use it as a mini app. And so if you're a musician or you're an artist and you are already selling your merchandise or your tickets or other things on Ticketmaster or on Bandcamp or on some site that you don't own and might not even have a mobile app, this is how you would go and start with V0, vibe code your idea so that you can build the page that you want, how you can then take that V0 vibe coded app and then publish it as a mini app. And once it's published as a mini app, you can share the link on socials, and then anybody can try your app as a mini app, just like you can see right here. I can continue to scroll my social feed while shopping. And so if you're a cultural builder, or if you're an artist, or if you're a musician and you have something to sell, you can sell it directly inside of their feed so that I can be scrolling my social feed and shopping at the same time. Shop while on social, and I don't need to have an extra tab open. Conclusion for all this. Coming back to the same thing I've been repeating over and over in this video, vibe coding is hot, App Store publishing is hard, use MiniKit for iOS and Android. This has been how to take your idea, put it into V0 to create a prototype that you then publish as a mini app that works on Base and on Farcaster for instant distribution on iOS and Android devices. If you made it this far, give this video a like, give me a subscribe so that you don't miss the next build, and leave me a comment below on what you want to see me build next. I'm constantly looking at the comments and would love to see how I can do another video on mini apps that's going to help you to bring your next idea to life. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll be back for my next stream.